All right, then, let's go to our next story. You know, kidnapping, the unlawful taking and carrying away of a person or persons, much against their will, and typically involving confinement and ransom demands, has become a thriving industry in our environment. So many governments in the country, including mine, Asoko, I'm sure you know what I mean, have criminalized the abominable act to the point of making it a capital offense. And so an outraged Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa of Ondo State has proposed a death sentence for whoever is found guilty of kidnapping in the state. The decision was taken at the Security Council meeting of the state. And now Ondo State Commissioner for Justice and Attorney General, Dr. Olukayode Ajulo, Senior Advocate, has announced the decision to newsmen on Saturday. Governor Aiyedatiwa noted that both kidnapping and cultism have become major public threats to safety and public order. The proposal is to be sent to the State Assembly for necessary legislative action. All right, let's go straight into the discussion. As Governor Aiyedatiwa wants the death penalty for a kidnapper in his state.
No, I think it is high time we started taking these stringent decisions on, kidnapping in the country.
Yeah.
Because it's getting too much. I hear some people say people are kidnapping because there's poverty. No, you can't bring poverty and then you unlawfully take somebody and then you also get money from it. And the most painful part is that sometimes
they take the money
and also kill the person.
The victim.
So if the governor is taking this decision, I think it is right.
As tough as it is.
It's very tough. I would have even said life imprisonment, life imprisonment. But because I noticed that some governors would just say, okay, death sentence. When it comes to the time whereby the court has said, okay, death sentence, the governors will refuse to sign, the death warrant for them to go. Because I've not seen any governor who has said, oh, because they said they've committed somebody for, to death. And then the governor signs.
Well, let's
but we need to make it this kind of stringent measures, because Ondo alone, for the past how many months now, they've been having issues about kidnapping and criminality,
cult-related
and it's becoming a big thing. I think that is why the governor is taking this decision. Like Edo State, for instance, the governor, once they know that you are a criminal or you are a kidnapper, they go there, they demolish your house. And that is what most governors are doing now. They demolish it and then they try to get you for you to face the law.
Yeah.
So if this is done, I will hope it's going to reduce kidnapping in the Ondo State, because we need these things, stringent measures to stop these acts.
Yeah, Dekule, a cynic said once that kidnapping has taken over from armed robbery because you don't shoot too many bullets, but you make so much money by demanding a ransom, if you understand me.
It's a very, very lucrative, industry now. Yeah. And it's a shame.
Big shame.
On all of us, especially those who run the affairs of Nigeria. There's hardly you can do without this phone. In this era of technology, with all the security agencies we have in Nigeria, and somebody is taking us, to the primitive age, death penalty. Is that our problem? That is not. We have enough laws to take care of everything in Nigeria, but we will not implement the laws.
So is that what Asukwa meant by saying many governors?
We have to go and look at the number of people on death rows in our country.
Oh, yeah.
Why? Their case done and trusted by the Supreme Court of Nigeria. And those that we sign, backwards, including many of those that are in the Senate today.
Yes, some governors, they will refuse.
See, it's not at an age when many countries are moving away from capital punishment. Nigeria is, trying to regress into it. That will not solve the problem. It's impossible to do kidnapping without this. First, it's impossible. You need to communicate, you need to pass through the banks, you need to pass through payment, make payment, all of that. What are our security agencies doing? We must ask ourselves serious questions. We are not the only country. So it's an embarrassment to Nigeria.
In other words, you are suggesting that Mr. Governor of Ondo State should look in another direction.
Absolutely wrong. I'm sorry to say it.
Okay.
What we need to do in our country, what do we really want? If you make a call, every call you make, Nigeria can monitor it. Because you are not a threat, nobody bothers you.
Okay.
If you want to get rid of our enemies, I mean, when I mean our enemies, the enemies of the state, the security agencies have what it takes. If you need to improve on technological work, fine. Okay. If you need to do interagency cooperation, more of it, fine. But not say death penalties. If you like, let's put death penalties on corruption, on kidnapping, on everything. Those crimes will not fizzle away because Nigerian, the system is policed, implemented or managed by Nigerians.
Okay then. Once again, we'll turn things over to our good old captain, BKO. BKO, a scandalized governor, Aiyedatiwa, wants the death penalty. My colleague here, your colleague, Adekule Lawal, says, no. No, Adekule Yusuf. Yeah.
It's not about coming up with the death penalty. It's about governors even finding the courage to sign the death warrant so that these people can proceed to meet their maker in good time. But if people get sentenced to death and you are so cowardly as governors not to sign their death warrant, I don't know where this came from. I don't know why. George W. Bush, there was a woman who stabbed a man with a nice pick more than 20 times, and she was sentenced to death. George W. Bush was governor of Texas.
Okay.
The woman became born again in prison. She became born again in prison. The Pope, the late Pope, Pope John Paul II, intervened. The whole world wanted her spared. George W. Bush addressed the press conference and said, well, I just signed the death warrant of this person. And I pray that God grants her a peaceful rest. That was it. It was around 1998 or so. That was it. Leaders must show courage. If the law permits us to take the lives of kidnappers, of murderers, and governors fail to sign, what will happen is there won't be enough deterrence. Okay. Our prisons will become jam-packed. We won't be able to find space in prisons for people. The prisons will become jam-packed because there are so many people on death row that will refuse to let them go and meet their maker. It's an unfortunate thing. I think kidnapping has reached that point now that we must impose the maximum penalty.
Okay.
If our laws constitute a slap in the wrist, then we won't be able to stop people from committing crimes. So I believe that every society gets the kind of laws that it deserves.
Yeah.
If
yeah.
a crime becomes too prevalent, then you must find strong laws, to get people to stop committing such crimes. In Uganda, there was a time when underage girls, virgins, were being raped because people thought that if they raped a virgin, it will cure them of HIV.
Oh, yeah.
Museveni had to come up with the death penalty. And that whole thing stopped. We stopped hearing about such stories. If they had not come up with death penalty, Ugandans would still have been attacking young girls inside the farms, girls that they suspect are virgins, and they will be violating them, believing stupidly that it will cure them of HIV. So if we have a big problem, kidnapping has become such a big problem in our country. You need to hear the stories of victims. If we have such a big problem, we need to come up with the kind of laws that will help us defeat the problem.
Otherwise, punish bad behavior, as we always say. Punish it, because the laws are there. As I said, Yusuf, in my state, Asokwa State, former governor, now Senate president, made kidnapping a capital offense. But
has it stopped in Akwa Ibom?
I beg, I don't know.
Many of people that were arrested for kidnapping, tried, and what has happened to them? In Lagos here, you know the case of Evans.
Oh yeah,
billionaire, kidnappers. Many of them.
His case is still there.
It's still on. Many of the cases that have been concluded, are on death rows. Go and check the statistics.
Yes, we know, but you are saying, is the governors, do they have the courage for them to sign that?
And this governor that is proposing is not the first person to make the proposition. And will he be still in office by the time?
Because that is what most of them will do.
Gentlemen, let's make some money. We'll go on a